Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Keith Reza, along with my trusty sidekick, Alan Lee.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're doing the Zoom right now, and we're rocking and rolling. This is a late night interview. Brings back the days of the late night that we did. Do you remember?
No, on LA radio, those were fun times. So yeah, 9 o'clock, 8:30, and in the
I think
valley.
this is the latest we've ever done, but we used to do like 8 o'clocks.
This is late. This is
Yeah.
this is our record, and
This is our record. And I got work very early in the morning. You got work very early in the morning. I'm doing some sit-ups. Dude, I've gained so much weight within the past 4 weeks. I look like Joey Diaz.
Well, you gotta look like somebody. In comedy, that's how they categorize people. They say, well, he reminds me of Joey Diaz. He reminds me of Brody Stevens. No, nobody can be Brody Stevens. And I've been
818 until I die. For the folks at home, they should subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcast, right? You were telling me you found the show on Apple Podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
And did you read some of the reviews?
You know what? I had a little problem with finding that. You can help me out.
You want me to read you a couple reviews?
Please.
Okay. Here's some reviews for Reza Riffs on Apple Podcasts, which we need more reviews. We have 96 reviews. We're trying to get to 100.
Was that a review? We need more reviews?
Yeah.
The review said we need more reviews?
Yeah.
Now, fuck that review.
Yeah.
Your business.
Thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, and I'm not easy to please. Really unexpectedly funny. Take a good moment to listen. Good stuff. That was a review.
Was that wasn't one of your family members or something?
Yeah. No. Keith is a great host. Keith is funny and has a great soothing voice. Yeah.
I like that.
Reza Riffs, brilliant. Keith Reza and Alan Lee's chemistry is undeniable. It's fun. Subscribe.
I've read that one.
Yeah.
I have read that one.
All right. Excellent. And then the last one, great guests. Keith and Alan get some great guests on Reza Riffs. If you're a fan of comedy, you'll love listening to these interviews.
I like that.
So that's why we think you should subscribe right now, rate and review, right?
I will.
And,
I hope those people did.
Yeah. So we have a great show today. We have Darren Carter, the party starter. He's been on Comedy Central, Comics Unleashed. The movie Be Cool with John Travolta, your favorite actor.
Yeah, I like John a lot. In fact, I had an acting class, not with John, but with his wife, Kelly Preston.
Oh, before she died, right?
Well, I should hope so. And so she, who else was in there? Patrick.
This could be a good story to share with Darren, so don't tell it now. I'm just saying, he is in Be Cool, and we're about to get this party started with Darren Carter, the party starter. Are you ready, Alan Lee?
Ready as you are.
All right.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, can you see me? Can you hear me? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Start video.
We can hear you. Oh, we can see you. Hey, Darren.
All right. How are you?
Do that. Hi, Darren.
Hi. Are we recording now or not yet?
Yeah, we're recording, man. How are you, man?
We're on.
I'm good. Here, let me change the view so I can see you better. Oh, good. There we go.
All right.
When I thought we were just going to get a headshot, someone did that. It was weird.
Yeah.
Nice. Everything is good. You can see me. You can hear me okay?
Yeah. I like your earplugs, man. The wireless ones.
Yeah, I got the AirPods. Yep. And I figure if I'm like this, probably the light is right there. So I think I'll be better in the light right here.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Good. We were just talking about the light.
Yeah. Hey, so this is cool, man. It took us 4 years to finally do this, and we only got it with COVID.
Yeah. You know what? I think this is like, first of all, it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much for checking in with me and even invite me on the show. I appreciate that. And this is by far the this is the easiest way to do a podcast now, right? Like just the internet like this. It's great.
Great.
Are you a little scared that when things get back to normal, like because I know you also have a podcast, are you scared like guests are just going to want to keep doing Zoom and not go to a studio or whatever? Like
I think I wonder about that. I wonder, and I'm going to also have to learn, how am I going to do it? Because this is like so easy I guess I could do it with, literally I could be like what you just said, like, okay, you want to be on my podcast? Pocket Party Podcast. And it's great. You set the time, boom, they come in, you hit record, it's easy. If it's live, if I'm in the room with them, I don't know, I might have to have 2 cameras, and then later on I gotta like edit, splice, and sync the sound, and I don't know, it might be harder, right? If you're a one-man band. If you have a production studio, then it's different. But
the best thing about a production studio is you can't use the whole "we lost internet" excuse. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, I know.
So like you could be on a roll and then like lose internet, and you're like, fuck. Especially if it's someone you've never even talked to before. Like you and me, we know each other from stand-up, but like if this is our first time meeting and the internet went out, I'd be like, oh, Darren Carter, the party starter, hates me.
He's like, I'm out of here. Sorry, buddy. No. How many episodes have you done?
We're at God, Alan. How many are we at? We're at like.
I know that we're over 100. We're over 100.
Yeah, we are over 100.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm at. I think I'm at 163. 163.
Wow. Well, at what point do you lose count?
It's funny. I know for a fact because I just uploaded one today, and so I know that it was episode 163. But I have lost count a little bit so it's 163 as far as like iTunes, Spotify, the audio. Because then during this COVID, I started putting stuff on YouTube. So I have certain episodes that are on YouTube that I don't have the audio version, that I didn't even, you know what I mean? And vice versa. I've done a few audio like over the phone that I haven't bothered to make YouTube videos yet. So, but I know for a fact on iTunes it's 163, even though there's a little bit more, but
I don't know how many like exactly, but I know everyone who I've interviewed. You know what I mean? Like I could name everyone I interviewed. I just don't know how many numbers I did.
You know what? I'll tell you, like when it comes to podcasting, you learn, right? You learn little things about how to make it better and better, and you get out of your comfort zone. Like I'll tell you about me. So when I first started with podcasting, with my own podcast, I was a little nervous because I used to do another podcast back in like 2011, 2012, 2013, I think, that time period. But I had a partner, so it was like the two of us, and then I don't know if he got a job or he wanted to, like, because he used to be a radio guy, so he was like, he didn't really like podcasting. He's like, I don't want to do that. I want to do radio, and he thought it was a step down. I thought podcasting was a step up. I'm like, this is great. Like I remember going on the road and like there'd be like extra people in the audience that had heard the podcast. It was great,
Yeah.
So, but he was a great partner. It was like, especially because if you have a partner, then they may know stuff that you don't know. Like if somebody starts talking about a movie or certain references that I'm clueless on, but then the partner can pick it up and be like, oh yeah, Cobra Kai, and just, whatever. They made. I only mentioned that because I just watched Karate Kid Cobra Kai series, so I can at least talk about that a little bit. But like when so many things that just they go over my head. I'm like, I'm not like Dodgers. I don't really know. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was a little bit nervous to do my own podcast. I was like, wow. So I started out with like people that I already knew, and then I remember, and then it expanded from comedians to there was a world class boxer that I know. He's a trainer. He's a trainer now, but he's a 2-time world champion. His name is Buddy McGirt. But I would know him from the boxing gym, but I never sat down and talked to him for an hour. So I was a little nervous, but at the same time, it was still kind of a comfort zone because I do know him. But I tell you, my very first guest that I didn't even know, I never met. I mean, I didn't know anything about him. I was on stage, and at the end of my set, I plugged the podcast. I go, it's very, I go, check out the Pocket Party podcast. It's very upbeat, very positive. We like to show encouragement, nothing too dirty. It's family friendly for the most part, and very positive. Whatever I said, something like that. And then he came up to me and he said, "Hi, my name is, I think his name is Paul Lilly." And he said, "I was in the U.S. Army and I'm doing some stuff for suicide prevention, and he had just got done doing like some commercials for that."
Yeah.
No, what are they called? Not commercials, but where you do it, the commercials that don't pay, public service announcements. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Commercials don't pay right now anyway. No one's doing commercials.
Yeah. So dude, I got to tell you, I was a little nervous. I was like, but I said yes. I said, let's do it. I said, meet me at Flappers. It was at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. I said, meet me at Flappers. We'll do it late night. And, usually I'll find a green room or a little place to record. And I was a little nervous. I was thinking, man, I don't know. What am I going to talk about? Like, I also told him, and he agreed. He goes, we don't want to make it all about suicide prevention. That could be a little dark. I said, but let's just, and I'm telling you, it ended up being a 2-part podcast.
Oh,
it was
that's
fantastic. Awesome. It was great. He talked about how from day one, how he was in high school, then he joined ROTC and how he got into the Army, and then what it was like going to Afghanistan, his first tour, like Afghanistan, like getting on, like from wherever it was, like, Baton Rouge to Paris, and then from Paris to Germany, and then Germany to, or wherever the trip was. And he talks about what it was like the day that the plane landed and the thing opened up and you're like, holy cow, we are here, and how it just smelled different, it looked different, and just, then he talked about going to Iraq, and for what was hilarious is my buddy Fraser Smith, as you know,
we love Fraser.
Oh yeah,
come on, guys. So Fraser was my safety net. I said, Fraser, I'm going to interview this guy. He was in the Army. We're going to talk about. I said, but I'm kind of nervous. He goes, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And he goes, I'm going to do a set at the Ice House. On my way back, I'll come by. So I'd already been interviewing and talking with Paul for a good hour. And then we get a knock on the door and they're like, yeah, your guest is here. I'm like, oh man. I go, Fraser, come on. I forgot that you were coming. So we made it a part 2. And Fraser's funny. He's like, yeah, you're good on the lineup when people forget that you're going to be on the show. Come on, guys.
Yeah. You know what's cool about Fraser is because I've worked with him a lot. When I was in the crew with Jeremy Hotz, Fraser was the MC. I was the feature. And the thing is, I didn't realize how big he actually was. Like, Fraser Smith used to be Howard Stern before Howard Stern.
Yeah. It's wild, right? Like I have a cousin. So I grew up in California. I grew up in Fresno, and I have a cousin that is from Norwalk, California. So he grew up listening to Fraser, and he loves Fraser. Whenever I play Vegas, there's been a couple times that Fraser's been on the show. Like the last time my cousin drove all the way to Vegas and brought like 8 little, headshots. And Fraser was nice enough. He signed them and had dinner with my cousin and I. And shout out to Jim. And it was really cool. And my cousin was like, "Hey, Fraser Smith, too hip." Like that was his catchphrase back then, too hip.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I got out of my comfort zone interviewing somebody I just met, and it was great. You learn, like you said, little things. I recently had on a photographer, which I was like, I don't know, what am I going to ask a photographer? But it just kind of happens, and it's actually pretty interesting when you start talking to people that I have a couple of points of things I want to talk to them about, but if the conversation goes somewhere I didn't expect, like last night, my guest that was talking about being a photographer. He's a photographer, Frankie Leal. he's a great photographer, and he said what he loves about being a photographer for because he shoots comedians, and he goes, it's kind of like, he goes, it reminds me of like when I used to take field trips and you go places you're not supposed to be, like you get to see behind the scenes. He goes, growing up in the valley here in the San Joaquin Valley, because I remember going to like a dairy for the first time, or going. He got to take a tour of a dam, like a water dam, where you're inside and it's like cold in there and it's leaking and there's water and you're like, whoa. And he said the same thing with comedy. Like it's one thing to be in the front row at a comedy show, but it's completely awesome to be like backstage, like mingling with comedians. And then also like he's the one taking their picture, so he's getting to meet each comedian as they come in, and and also perseverance, because the very first comedian that he shot was a guy that worked the door at the Comedy Store. Yeah. So you think about, he was shooting a guy who was like, making $25 for the night or whatever, and then now he's like shooting people that have been on SNL and Entourage and all kinds of stuff. So it just kind of shows you like, you stick with something long enough, and you're not an a-hole, you'll go far.
Now, has this guy ever photoed you while you're doing stand-up or do your headshots? Because I have a question if he has.
Yes, he has, and he's honestly he's one of my favorite photographers. I used to see his pictures before I even met him. Like I remember there was a couple of people that were like almost like open micers, but then the way he would shoot, and he'd have like this cool blue background, and I would be like, man, he makes these people look like superstars. Yeah. And so when I met him, I was like, I want you to take my picture, please, because it was hard for me to get good headshots. Like my previous headshots from back in the day, I didn't really. I mean, I liked them, but then you kind of don't like them, So, but yeah, he's great. What's your question?
I think everyone hates their headshots, but my question is, I think when photos like photo you, I think they come out better if they know you and know your style and know you, because like sometimes it's just hard to go in a studio, okay, act that, or do, what I mean? They just want to, they photo it right at the perfect moments to show your beauty, So that's why like it's cool he photoed you.
Yeah, you're right, because there are people that I've had in the past. Some of my worst photos were, like you said, when you don't know them and they're just, yeah. I mean, my very first headshot, I wish I could hold it up, but it's online somewhere. One of my early it's I remember the guy was like, it was right before I moved to LA, because we were getting ready for me to move to LA. So my agent was like, this is the mid 90s. This is in San Diego. And she's like, okay, Darren. She's like, wear something hip that the kids wear. And so I remember I wore like my friend gave me a vest, like, and no shirt underneath, and the sleeves were ripped. And I remember the photographer, he goes, I want you to look at the camera like you're trying to seduce a woman at a nightclub, And I thought, well, this is LA, man. This is what you do, But he goes, I'll be back. He goes, I'll be right back. And because he was also at the same time slot filming a bunch of Boy Scouts in the next room. Yeah. So he's like, Boy Scouts, coming back. All right, comedian actor guy, you're seducing a woman. So I have a shot of me where I'm kind of like flexing my tricep. And I remember I'm sort of like kind of like this, and I'm like looking at I had hair back then. I'm like looking like, oh, that picture's out there somewhere. I don't know. I post it every now and then. But
I wanted to ask you, since you started it, you started comedy before the social media days, where now it's like it doesn't really matter if you're funny, it's about how many followers you have. Where you probably started in the time where internet wasn't around and it was about talent and word of mouth. Like how has that transition affected you or helped you as a comic?
It's funny you say that, because there's obviously the minuses is what you just said. Like, there might be somebody, you and I have never heard of, and they're like, oh yeah, they did 4 shows. Every show was sold out. And then we added a 5th show. And you're like, what? Are you kidding me? And then you'll ask the wait staff or the manager, like, how were they? They were like, well, they go, every show was sold out, but they were terrible.
Not a good show.
but they'll be like, but their audience loved them because their audience knows them from, Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So, and I did a show, and I remember the manager at at morning radio, their DJ guy he goes, so how was he? He was talking about the celebrity. And he goes, he's terrible. He goes, but he stuck around till 3 a.m. and signed every autograph, took a photo with everyone in one-on-one. He goes, and I would gladly have him back. So get it? He said he's terrible, blah, 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 but they would gladly have him back because they're selling tickets. So that's on the minus side. That's the side that it's out of our control. So, but here's the plus side. I do remember doing comedy in the 90s and just kind of like twiddling my thumbs during the day going, man, I wish there was something we could do. I hate that my only chance to make it is pretty much at night, like on stage, getting discovered, networking, one show leads to another. I mean, of course, there was auditions during the day. So you had that kind of, and then you could be writing during the day, but there wasn't like it is now. Now it's great, man. Like if you want, so I'm saying I've really embraced it because just like the comedians before us, like in the 60s, I recently had on Wayne Fetterman, and he has a brand new book called The History of Stand-Up from Mark Twain to Dave Chappelle. And he talks about how in the 60s, when comedians were making record albums, they were new comedians like Bob Newhart, like guys who really hadn't done it that long, but they put a record out, boom, they get famous. And the Las Vegas comedians were like, why would I want to sell my act for $1.99 when I'm making $18,000 a week? That kind of thing. So I do like that there's, like right now, we're able to do this. We're able to communicate, tell some stories. People might, they after this, they might follow both of us and be like, oh, what else does Keith do? So there's that, you know what I mean? I do embrace
it's more about you, though. This is about getting inside your head. And because what this podcast is about is I'm a big firm believer. Like, I think I'm a good comic, but I'm a big firm believer of you can never be the best. And the only way to be the best is to interview the best. So that's what this is about. Because it's like comedy school to me. It's like, okay, I could take what Darren says, use that advice to get better, And I think
good.
That makes it versatile.
I appreciate that. That's what's going to help you because I do remember a few years back, my buddy and I were talking and we were like, man, remember when we were coming up, we used to ask headliners questions. They go, now some of these guys, they don't even ask us questions. They're like buried in their phone, looking at, they could care less about us. And it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. Not everybody, but I was like, dude, I could relate to that. I remember one time I was performing in Austin, Texas. I come off stage and the comedian was just like, he could care less that I was just up there. Like, and that was kind of my own fragile ego because I was like, man, I'd seen all these people laugh and this up and coming comedian doesn't even have any questions for me or, but still, I think we got to ask questions,
Well, yeah. And one question I had for you is because, I've followed you a couple times at like bar shows and stuff, and I've opened for you a couple times at bar shows. I think like you're one of the toughest comics I've ever had to follow, and
you.
And no, I'm being dead serious. But I also know that it doesn't affect my talent by following or not following you. How does that? Because I would say if you asked a lot of comics, they'd say Darren Carter is very hard to follow.
I'm laughing because I was going to make a joke when you said I've done bar shows with you and I followed you at bar shows. I was like, hey, can we say like theaters or arenas?
I've never followed you after theaters or venues, but like we keep it honest. But I mean,
yeah. I followed you at a stadium once. No. Yeah. It was Madison Square Garden. It was the fourth show that you sold out, Darren. Thank you, buddy. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you please ask the question one more time about
yeah. The question is I guess what made you like? How is it known to know that you're a very fearless, funny comic that comics don't want to follow you when you do a set at the Improv and you're not headlining, you're just doing like a 15-minute set,
So I'm still not sure what the question is about.
The question is like, you go up and you kill so well. Other comics, like, say if it's, like Darren Carter's hosting, and then like you bring up Jeremy Piven or Jamie Kennedy, I guarantee you those guys don't want to go after you. They want to throw someone else.
Well, what's interesting is when you're right. When I wouldn't say those guys, but like when I'm on a regular show, only because I think my style of energy and everything, what I do, at least, there are people that are like, oh, I don't want to follow that. Like, not that I'm so good. It's just that maybe it's not a right fit.
Right.
But what's great is for like the Roosevelt Hotel, I volunteer. I say, you know what? They go, do you want a regular spot or do you want to host? I said, let me host. And I like hosting there because everyone has to follow me, and I get to watch all the comedians. I love watching good comedians, and also when I host, I feel like I can kind of control the vibe of the show. Like I'm gonna keep it positive. I'm not gonna use vulgarities too much. And if a comedian crushes and kills doing that, that's great, because when I go up there, I can bring the room back a different way, talking about playing hide and seek with my son or something very wholesome and funny, And so I find it challenging for myself too, because there's comedians that are just crushing, and then it makes me have to follow them because I got to bring up the next performer.
Who's the hardest comic you've had to follow?
Well, there's different. See, that thing, it could be the hardest one that I ever had to follow was rest in peace. It was Mitch Mulaney. I don't know if your audience is familiar with Mitch Mulaney, but he's hilarious. He also played Nick Freno. He was White Mike on the Wayans Brothers show, and he was just great, man. And just look up Mitch Mulaney on YouTube, you'll see it. He just has there's a killer 20 minutes that's up there. It's like in part 1, 2, and 3, and he was just great. And I think part of what it was, I got in my head a little bit, and also there's a bit that I used to do. I still do, but I used to really. It was one of my main bits back then, where I'd be like, "Hi, ladies, I'm Darren, but you could call me Duran." And I would do this thing. I'd be like, "Duran, love me like a leprechaun. I'd be like, girl, I'm the one you've been looking for. I am, I is, I was, I were. I have, has, had, do, does, did, will, shall, should, would, maybe, must, can, could, because baby, I am Duran." So I would do that thing, right? This whole I'm Duran, But his whole act was like that, like everything that makes people laugh. He was just like bam, bam. Just this, white guy with like swagger and could just crush. And the first show I featured, he headlined, and then him and his buddy, they had a bunch of drinks at the bar, and they met these girls, and they wanted to get out of there. So he didn't even ask me. He goes, "Hey man, you're gonna headline this one." I go, what? I was like, "Yeah, we met these girls. I'm gonna do a tight 20, and then you headline." I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." So he basically did the whole whatever. He did his thing and just crushed. And so I felt like a super pale comparison. I felt like I was a half-ass. It'd be like if Gallagher is smashing watermelons, and then you go up like a kumquat, like bing, 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 like we just saw watermelon. What are you, come on guys, I smash grapes. It's like,
do you ever wonder, when Gallagher performs, are the watermelons part of his contract, or do you think he has to buy his own watermelons?
I would imagine that he probably has it in his writer, like, please provide. Because I know when I was in Arizona, one of the managers was like there's a musical comedian who would play with a keyboard, and they were like, yeah, we have to, he has it in his writer that we have to go rent a keyboard for the weekend. So like he can just show up and it has to have 88 keys, and he prefers Yamaha or whatever the specifications were. But it's like, yeah, if you're selling, you can do that. When you're not selling tickets, are like, F you, you just pay the extra $35 and get your own luggage, and like you just don't want to pack your keyboard, you lazy son of a, yeah. By the way, I gotta hold that thought. I gotta tell you real quick. So I saw Gallagher at a club about 4 years ago, and the next morning I told my wife, I go, guess what? I go, I did a show with Gallagher, and she didn't even ask me if he was funny or how was the show or was he nice. None of that. The first thing she said was, "Oh, that reminds me, I just bought watermelon." It was like, I mean, I swear to God, he's just him and Watermelon are like that. It's like, he is a great comedian, by the way. I don't know if you ever used to watch any of his. He's more than the Watermelon. He would do like these great one-liners and.
Yeah, I actually did a guest set on one of his shows at the Laugh Factory a few years ago, and he was very funny. But like, I'm the type of person where like I would because I want to get more work, so I'd always ask the headliners. I'd be like, "Hey, did you like me or whatever?" And he just said, "I don't even remember you going on." So I was like, "Ah, whatever."
Yeah, I think as a person, he might be real blunt like that because I think he's a little bit stern with me too as well. But you know what I mean? I think he kind of, I don't know. You know what it is? I think I asked him something at the bar at the Improv, and he was a little like with me, and then I kind of persevered. I said, okay, I get it. He's has like 8 specials or whatever, and like he used to fill out the fares before anybody could do fares. He used to do all this stuff. I mean, he's done a lot, and I mean, he's iconic. He's iconic, man. Striped shirt, Watermelon, the fuzzy hair. It's like, so I remember I asked him a couple more questions, and then it was kind of nice. I think he saw that I was sort of coming at him with a respectful way, and he told me, and I'll never forget this. He said, an audience is like a wagon and a rope. You have a rope, and you got to kind of pull gently the rope, but you don't want to pull too hard because then the audience gets ahead of you. Then you got to catch up to them. You just want to kind of, I like that analogy, just kind of, you bring the audience with you, but don't get them too like hyped up and everything. Then you're trying to, put out a little catch up with them.
You can also use that analogy, like you say it's a dog. You're walking a dog, and you don't want him to go up, right? And then you just, in case you don't like dogs, then when you see tight, coyotes or whatever, you can let them go. I don't know.
You're like, that's a tough crowd. Get out of here, dog.
But I just have 2 more questions because I want to respect your time. I know you said it's only a half hour. Is it okay if we go a little more?
We can go a little longer. Yeah, for sure. I just want to make sure that that the battery doesn't die, that the Wi-Fi doesn't cut out. Like unfortunately, I'm doing it all from my phone. Usually I have my laptop, but I'm out right now. I'm staying on a farm and there's no Wi-Fi here. So it's like, I'm loving it. We're in the boonies. It's absolutely amazing. But
like, are you on vacation or like?
No, we're splitting our time between LA and like the Fresno area since things are starting to open up. So we'll probably spend a little bit more. We'll probably go back home. But for now, it's like I spend a lot of time here. Then I go back to LA for a little bit. And then, I come back and it's like, well, are you in Orange County?
Yeah, Orange County, and Allen's in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah. So, imagine if you could like go stay at a cabin in Big Bear or something and be like, man, you just, I love it. It's kind of like that.
I did my first show in a year last week at the Ha Ha, and it was awesome, man. Like,
good for you. That's cool.
Damon Wayans was there, and he's about to go up, and he's like, "You're pretty funny for a white guy." I was like, "Oh, that's a nice reverse racism right there."
yeah. Dude, that's funny, man. You're one guy. Thank you. Hey, did you know there's a new comedy club across from the Ha Ha called the Comedy Chateau?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Comedy Chateau. It's right across. It's basically an old French restaurant, and it's across the street and like a block away.
Oh, have you done it?
I haven't done it. I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of maybe wait till more comedians play it before I don't want to be the first one to be like, you know what I mean? Like because Jack and Terry have been very nice to me, and Jack Jr. So I don't want to be like, but once I'm sure more comedians are playing it, and then it's like, come on, man, it's just like the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, Improv. You get in where you fit in, So maybe it'll be like a little,
That's interesting you bring that up because I mean, not just Jack and Terry, but I do know like clubs will, if you play one club, they'll like say you can't play the other club. How do you deal with that? Because like I don't personally, I just want to play everywhere and make anyone laugh.
Yeah. I haven't, it's funny, that might just be more, I've only had that said to me once, I think, really, maybe twice.
Yeah.
But the way that I dealt with it is I basically had the guy give me a raise, and and so he's like, all right. So he gave me a little bit of a raise. And I told him I wouldn't play the other club that was in that same town. But if they're not going to pay you more or something, then it's kind of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I mean, or do something nice to you if they give you more spots or something. But if they're just being selfish and being like, Keith, you can't play there, then it's like, well,
Well,
Keith's got to get better,
yeah, I gotta say, well, Darren Carter wants me to open for him over there. You gotta give me a raise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. $1,000. I'll stay here. Yeah, exactly.
But the question I had a couple minutes ago was, you've released 4, to my knowledge, comedy albums, and
Yeah.
what's that like? Because when you were releasing them, that was when albums was a big deal, and now like specials are starting to come back. Is it something you want to do a special now to put those albums out?
I don't know. It's interesting. I did do one special like 10 years ago and they sold it to Showtime. But the CDs, what's great about that is like you get the royalty money off Sirius XM. So I'm getting you get like a regular check. So and I didn't know about that until Sirius XM became popular. Like, so that's why my first album was in 2000, and then I didn't even record another one until 2010. Then I put out the next 2. I know we're in a weird time when it comes to that as well, because there is Spotify and Pandora, Sirius XM, and iHeartRadio, all these places, so you can make money off royalties, but people aren't really buying albums like they used to at all. Like even at shows, they're like they want to support, but they're like, I don't even know what I would play it on. My car doesn't have a CD player. My laptop doesn't have it. So it's like,
Yeah. I was thinking of a good merch idea for you. Little flashlights with your name.
I have that.
You do?
Dude, thank you.
Oh. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
Hold on. I think it's right over there. Can you hold on one second?
Yeah.
I think I have one right here. Yes, I do. I like the way you think, Keith.
Thank you.
All right, check it out. Ready? Here we go.
Whoa.
Now look, here's what it looks like. See, it's like metallic, and then if you look, you can see. Look at that. There's the name right there. Where's the camera? Do you see it? It says,
Darren Carter. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Are the words backwards, or can you read it?
No, it says Darren Carter on my end, and then party starter. Yeah.
Or I think it says Pocket Party Podcast.
Oh, it might say that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It definitely says that. Yeah.
This is cool. So now listen, I don't know anything about like engraving, so I learned my lesson. I probably shouldn't have done, because it's harder to read, right? Metal on metal. Like, I think they're supposed to be color or something, but I save these. I give these to like the special fans that come to the shows, or that like don't, like they're not, you know what I mean? Like they've been following me for a while. I usually gift them one of these, but yeah, that's a great merch idea. Thank you. No, but I have enough people tell me that where I'm like, you know what, I probably should do it. Like I didn't listen at first. I was like, Then eventually I was like, you know what, just do it.
Yeah. Now, Alan, before we go, you wanted to ask Darren about John Travolta. Did you want to ask him that?
No. We were talking about the movie, which is a crime.
Be Cool. Yeah, it's called Be Cool.
Yeah,
crime, right? And we were a little let down by the crime film. And so I just said to Keith, I said, well, the one thing is I actually had an acting class with Travolta's girlfriend, Kelly Preston. And so I thought that was good that you worked, with Travolta, and I worked in a class with his girlfriend. So how that connects up, I have no fucking idea.
No, he was nice. He was great. He was professional, and he's talk about iconic. It's John Travolta, man. That's crazy.
He's amazing.
Very nice. Keith, ask me more questions. Let's do a couple more minutes. I'm cool with it.
Just not John Travolta questions.
Well, we did it.
I was saving Alan the easy one. Alan's
Yeah,
like, I'm a huge John Travolta fan. I'm going to ask him John Travolta
for
questions.
hours to ask Darren that. And
Well, he was very nice. He was honestly, he showed up probably last to the set in an SUV with tinted windows. And when he got out, he was very nice to everybody and said their name. And hey, Lori, how you doing? Hope you had a good weekend. All right, John, how you doing? How's the kids? I mean, he was just really,
Yeah.
nice, very nice. I remember one time I like flubbed my line because I was nervous. Honestly, I was nervous. And then he goes, "That's okay. It's a little high. Let's give him some Gatorade." So he got me. And then we did the scene. It was great, man. We did the 2 scenes, and I was like, "Oh man, thank you." I mean, I imagine doing a scene with a huge star. Because all I kept thinking of was like, that's the guy from Pulp Fiction and Welcome Back, Carter, and you start thinking of all these movies that you.
That's the best. That's okay. Let's just get him some Gatorade.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna try.
A question that strikes me is who's the toughest person? It doesn't have to be a comedian. It could be a photo guy or the suicide prevention guy. Who's the toughest person you've ever had to interview?
I would say. I remember one guest that they would just give short answers.
Oh,
they did not like 1-sentence answers, and I just felt like their connection wasn't there, which is weird because we're actually friends. But it was just like, I mean, I say we were friendly, like, you know what I mean. We're not like, he's a person that I would see like once every year or two, but I thought he'd be a great guest. I really did. And he was very boring, and he just gave 1-word answers, and he just was like, or like 1 or 2 sentences. And so that I would say he didn't really bring it, you know what I mean? Like, like I come on, I'm drinking coffee. I'm just, I don't know if this is interesting or not to people, but I at least try to be my best self.
sure.
Yeah. So I think you're in a nice way. You're trying to say Alan Lee was the worst guest.
No. I don't think that. In fact, the Roosevelt. I'm going to go to the Roosevelt tonight and do a joke about Travolta.
Yeah.
Now, Darren, what's your writing brain like? Because you've always struck me as someone who writes on stage while you're in the moment. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, what I do is I put in new batteries in my flashlight, and got a big show coming up, honey. No, I got a new bit. I got 2 flashlights. I'm bringing the beacon. No, I got the. Or something from my old notebook. I hold up a lantern. No, what I do is I record my shows, and I'm old school. I like a lot of times I'll just if I can't have it on camera, I'll just hit audio, and I'll just put the thing on the stool and record what I'm saying. And then the next day or the day after, at some point, I'll be in my own audience. I'll sit down with a cup of coffee, a yellow notepad, which I have over there, and I'll just hear myself or watch myself and try to tag little jokes. For example, if let's say I'm doing a joke about, and I mentioned the word apple. Well, now that I've listened to it, I'm like, oh, maybe instead of saying apple, I'll say apple the first time, but then I'll say Fuji, or I'll say Gala, or I'll say Honeycrisp, or you know what I mean? Like I'll try to change the word up a little bit. Like, so I'm not just saying apple 7 times, or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll ask myself, is there like a specific word I could say, or is there like a, I had a bit one time where I was talking about how it was really, like my wife likes to keep the thermostat really, really high, so it's always hot. And so I would be like, how else can I explain that? And so I just wrote down a bunch of stuff, and it was fun because I didn't know how much of it was going to work and how much of it wasn't going to work, and so I pretended I'm the guy that's all hot. I'm like, come on, honey, let's lower the air, and I just did a bunch of jokes, like what did I say, like stuff like. And I don't even, what I mean? It was just, I had like a bunch of examples. Like, and by the way, I gave, or maybe I shouldn't say this. Screw it, I'll say it. Yeah. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say it. All right, I gave Fraser a joke, and because he and I write a lot together, and we're friends like that. We help each other. But I gave him a great joke. So, oh man, I can't wait for him to get out there and say it. He'll say like, "Hey, Darren, I'm sweating like this. I'm sweating like that." And so I gave him a good one. I'm sweating like Gavin Newsom watching Total Recall. Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Oh,
that's good, right? Like, hey, I'm sweating like Harvey Weinstein, whatever. I give him,
oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
Speaking of movies, Darren, the movie theaters are opening up again. Have you seen any in the last year, or what's up?
You know what the movie? I haven't seen any new movies. Like I said, we've been watching. Did you watch Cobra Kai at all? Did you watch that?
I did. Yeah.
I thought it was really good, man. I really enjoyed it, and I like that they weren't
on it. Yeah.
You know who really impressed me about Cobra Kai was Brett. Like, I didn't realize he was that good of an actor. You know?
Oh yeah, he played Daniel's cousin or nephew, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he was good, right? He was good.
Yeah.
He didn't take you out of it. It wasn't like, Brett, man, you're ruining the show. It was like, no, he was good.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that is I remember my buddy was watching. I was watching. I love Breaking Bad too. And my buddy was like, wait till you get to see. Yeah, right. He'd be like, wait till you get to season 3 or whatever it was, where Bill Burr and Lavelle Crawford were in. And I go, oh, does it ruin it though? Does it like take you out of it because you know them? And he's like, no, they're great. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, they were great. And
that's Bill Burr. He's actually, I've been doing comedy for 13, 14 years. He's the one comic who I've never met, but like when I see him, I like kind of cowardly away. Like, is he approachable? Is he like easy to talk to?
Yes, but he also is a little bit like I'm sure he's a little bit like he is on stage, like he's I remember one time I was at the Comedy Magic Club and I loved how one of his bits just ended so perfectly. It was so nice. Like it was about a monkey and something and I asked him, I said, I go, hey, did you change the ending so the audience would be like happy, like it was a happy ending? And he looked at me like, why would I do that? No, that's what happened. And I was just like, oh, sorry. I just, you know what I mean? I felt kind of stupid, to be honest with you. I was like, damn it, why? Oh, I'm so stupid. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't mean it in any kind of insult at all. It was more like, hey, so, I noticed at the end, the monkey gets, and the crowd cheers. And I'm just like, yeah. So in other words, yeah, he's really cool, but then you might get that Boston kind of like,
vibe, yeah. Well, because he's doing an outdoor show in Huntington Beach on Friday, and I was gonna go check it out, and see if I could actually have the balls to meet him. But I said, he's been one of those guys who I've just been too scared to introduce myself to.
Yeah, man, I know it's
I need
tough.
Darren Carter to come with me.
Hey, I know, right? It's like I remember I got nervous the first time I met Robin Williams, and it was in San Francisco, and it was outside of the Holy City Zoo, and all I could talk about was the fog and how cold it was, because he was right outside the doorway, right? Yeah. And Robin Williams is right outside the door because he came in and he went out, and I went out there and I go, I just go, wow, it's cold out here, and he goes, oh, yes, it's cold. It's cold. Ooh, it's cold. And then I go, yeah, I'm gonna go back inside. I just went back inside.
Well, Darren, where can the folks at home follow you?
Oh, well, you know what? I just got a huge deal with Spotify. It's called the Joe Rogan Experience, and no, I'm joking. Yeah. Darren Carter, I'm on YouTube, and I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe, or at least check out some of the stuff, see if you like it. Darren Carter on YouTube. I put up videos almost every other day, and my podcast is on there, and also everywhere you listen to podcasts. It's called Pocket Party. Darren Carter Pocket Party Podcast, and I'm on Instagram. You can't miss me. Darren Carter, I'm out there. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing it, man. I'm glad we finally got to do it. I wish it was in person, but Zoom is great as well. And I love you very much. And thank you.
When it goes to in person, is it audio only, or are you going to do camera? I mean, what did you do pandemic?
We promote the audio just in person. Usually we go out to dinner after, and we just continue this off the air.
No, what I'm saying is like let's say a year and a half ago, how did you do it? Was it on camera or not on camera? Your podcast?
It wasn't on camera. It was at a studio, and we just did it to the airwaves.
Oh, that's cool. So it was audio only. Yeah, because I had Jamie Kennedy on mine, and I think he was a little disappointed because it wasn't on camera. He's like, "Oh, where's the cameras?" And I was like, he
said the same thing to us, didn't he, Alan?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's funny because
People like the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's like, and it's like next level because podcasts used to just be audio only, and then other people started getting YouTube clips and YouTube, and then so I'm gonna have to figure. I mean, I guess I could put a camera, and then my guest could like give me just one shot, right? Like where we're just like, you know what I mean? Like the camera's there, and then I'm just like, so so. What was it like meeting Gallagher? We're on camera, Jamie. Oh, no.
Well, Darren, it was fun, man. I appreciate it, and stay safe. And we'll see you on the road, man. We'll see you when we cross paths again.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. I hope this gets 1 million downloads, and I wish you guys a lot of success. And please have me back on. I'd love to do it.
Oh,
anytime. You're always welcome, pal. You're family.
Cool.
You're Reza Riff's family.
That's right. Ooh. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, Darren.
Too, Darren.
All right.
Bye.
That was a great show, guys. Wow, Darren Carter, the party starter. That was great. Alan Lee, we're about to head out. You got any last second things to tell the folks?
Well, I'm gonna, now that COVID is gone, I'm gonna be roaming Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard, trying to check out some of the rooms that have appeared.
I think Darren's still here trying to sign off.
Well, come back, Darren. Help me out. You're in trouble already.
Well, it was a great show, guys. Follow Darren Carter on social media, and subscribe, rate, review to Reza Riffs. And Alan, we'll see you next week, buddy.
Well, I'll be here.
All right.
That's for sure.
Great.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.